Okay, I'm calling to order the Board of Assessors meeting for April 7th, 2022. It is 4 p.m. Our second order of business is any public comment. And we don't have anyone here. So Sean, quick question. Because this is a live meeting, we're not doing anything with the Facebook. I don't need to check with you on that stuff anymore, correct?
It is going to be live on Facebook. So if you want to check in with me, you absolutely can.
Okay, well, I'll do this. Why don't we do this going forward? If we're meeting live and someone's not here, if you see someone on Facebook, just remind me, yell at me that we have a question or whatnot. I may forget to do that.
Okay, will do.
Okay. So we don't have any public comment. We do have to reorganize, but before we reorganize, I would like to make two comments. One, I would like to thank John Pink, who served on this board for 6 years and decided not to run for re-election on behalf of the town for his service. And I'd also like to welcome our newest board member, who was overwhelmingly elected to the seat. I think he basically, his opponent got 0 votes. So John LeBlanc.
I think there might have been a write-in, one or two.
Well, we didn't count it.
Thank you.
But welcome to the board.
Thanks.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we have to reorganize. And basically we need to vote a chairman. So I can't do that myself because it's kind of awkward. So I don't know,
I make
who
a
wants
motion
to
to vote for John.
Which John?
Yeah,
John Oliver.
John,
Sorry. I'll second that if I can.
you can second that. Okay. You can call the vote. I'm not calling.
Sure, I'll call the vote. John?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
John?
Because I'm not that vain, I'm going to abstain.
Excellent. Well, the vote carries anyways, and you are now the chairman, and I turn things back over to you.
Thank you. Okay, as the chairman, the next 2 votes we need to take, and this is more for efficiency reasons. We do vote on who signs the employee payroll, because the way this board operates is that the Board of Assessors actually signs off on payroll and submits payroll. The chairman has historically done that. And I am also going to roll in agenda item number 5, same thing for invoice signing. We all tend to sign the invoices, but in certain cases, if something needs to get out quickly rather than have to have a majority of the board, meaning 2 signatures, we've always historically allowed the chairman to do that as well. So are we in favor of keeping that same practice in place? I'll take a motion to, as such, if anyone wants to make that motion.
I make a motion to authorize John Oliver to continue to sign for the employee payroll as well as invoice signing.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain. Okay, now on to the real stuff. Housekeeping's done. We have minutes that were distributed via email. I believe we also actually have a copy in front of us for the March 10th meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve. You want to approve that?
So moved.
I will second that, since you weren't on the board. It's probably not a good idea if you don't vote on this one. So any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You're going to abstain, right, John?
Sign that copy.
So we'll initial this. You and I. Get that back, right. Okay, we have some motor vehicle commitment and warrants to sign as well. Just for point of clarification, Dave or Harald, do you mind just giving us the 30-second version of this, since this is the first package of these that John LeBlanc will have to sign what we're signing off on here?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. So throughout the year, there are a number of what we call commitments. Those are in some circles called tax rolls, collections of properties of different types that are in which bills are going to be issued. We have real estate and personal property commitments twice a year, and then motor vehicle excise tax billings that also reveal themselves to you in the form of what we call a commitment. Every commitment has associated with it what we call a warrant to collect. you, the Board of Assessors, authorize the tax collector to, in this case, Erica, to collect the taxes represented on that commitment.
Okay,
So the way this all works, very simply, the Board of Assessors, well, the tax collector collects, we tell the tax collector what to collect.
fair enough.
And he kept it to under 30 seconds. Look at that. He must have took offense to his own comment of himself earlier. We do have a statutory exemption, I believe.
Yeah, so we won't mention the taxpayer's name, but they qualify for a veteran's exemption based on their 10% disability. So it's approved. We just need Dave Lamoureux to sign.
And John, just for your benefit, any of these types of statutory exemptions, we request certain documentation and corroboration that they actually do qualify. Well, we don't just take their word for it. I think in the past, sometimes they just take their word for it. Trust and then verify, right? We also have some vision and UNIS reports that we need to sign.
These are statutory exemptions we've already signed. So Dave Lamoureux.
We bring these up and point them out at the meetings, but normally during the week, they're available early to sign too. So if you're at town hall, there's Linda can walk you through that. There's actually a lockbox outside of the office that house that we keep a folder in. Actually, speaking of that, I'm going to say, John he probably still has his key to that box, right? So I'll track John down and get the key back so we can give it to the other John.
Again, for John's benefit, the statutory exemptions, or what we call statutory exemptions, are tax reductions that are awarded to qualifying seniors and veterans. The law allows for an annual reduction in the tax bill of individuals that on the senior side fall below certain income thresholds. For veterans who have sustained a service-connected disability and have a letter from the VA, we will grant them tax reductions as well.
We also have our monthly motor vehicle abatement and real estate abatement reports. For all the, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but if you wanted to add an explanation to this too.
Yeah, so in the scheme of things, we monthly provide reports to the town accountant showing the transactions, the abatements and exemptions that have been transacted by our board, reporting to the town accountant what adjustments he has to make to his books. So you'll see these on a monthly basis.
Okay,
They're summary reports generated out of our tax collection system.
You have some monthly invoices there.
Yeah.
To sign.
You took care of that.
Took care of it. Good.
So John, I'm gonna tell you in advance, you'll sign your name more in the coming year than you will have signed it in your whole life, probably.
gonna order a stamp.
Again.
All right, as we're signing, because I think we can all do this more than one thing at a time. The next agenda item is we're going to discuss the proposed telecom depreciation schedule, and rather than me attempt to get into this at all, I will turn it over to RRG. I'm not sure who's going to talk about this, but
Yeah, Dave certainly could, but let me just talk a little bit about this proposed telecom depreciation schedule. We received from the Department of Revenue and an attorney representing the landline telecommunications industry, that would be your Verizon New England or MCI companies that have traditionally provided landline telephone equipment and services. Those entities have historically been valued, had their accounts valued by the Department of Revenue. It's the only class of property, except for gas pipelines, that the Department of Revenue actually values. In valuing those companies and their assets, they turn over to us annually the assessment on those on assets of those companies for us then to put into our system and bill. Once they turn over those valuations to the local Board of Assessors, we assume responsibility for defending those values. I've never quite figured out why that is.
So we don't
DOR,
value, but we have to defend the.
yeah,
value.
DOR values, but we have to defend their assessments.
It's like having a child. They do whatever they want, and then you have
We pay
to
the price.
pick up.
Something like that. So, as I think we all recognize, landline telephonic technology has taken a backseat to wireless communications. People, and myself included, are pulling the plug on their landline telephones, which, I don't know, in my case, I never use. I haven't picked up a regular phone in several years, relying exclusively on my cell phone. So obviously Verizon New England is coming to the table saying, well, you know, we're kind of a dying industry here. Those assets that you're assessing us for, DOR and local boards of assessors, those carry with them a high degree of functional obsolescence. We want that obsolescence to be recognized in a more aggressive depreciation schedule. So a lot of high profile meetings between DOR, the industry, and also some of the larger municipalities, Boston, Cambridge, and such. They all came to an agreement over a depreciation schedule that they'll be implementing for the upcoming fiscal year 2023 and beyond. The attorney representing the industry wants boards of assessors across the Commonwealth, including the Lakeville Board of Assessors, to sign off on that depreciation. I don't think we have much of a choice here. The alternative, and it is within your power, would be to commission an appraisal by a licensed and qualified telecommunications appraisal expert. I can tell you what the price tag will be, probably somewhere in the vicinity of $50,000 to $100,000. And then that appraiser is going to have to, assuming that they come up with a higher valuation, they'll be on the seat to defend that in the face of everybody else out there who has signed off on the agreement. So long and short of it is, I have to recommend to you that we just jump on board, for better or worse, and agree with this depreciation schedule.
So does anyone have any additional questions or need any further clarification? Having said that, do we have a motion to sign off on RRG's recommendation?
So moved.
A second.
Seconded.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
If I could comment to my colleague, David Golden, you would have, the office would have received a DocuSign document.
Yeah,
John has.
we already have it. I have
Oh,
it.
okay.
That's why I put it on the agenda, because I wasn't quite, as much as I kind of could have predicted what the vote would have been. I figured we probably should take the vote before it
Well,
would have looked a little funky for me to sign it before we actually had the meeting, so.
if you could do us a favor then, John, bring that email up and click on the DocuSign.
Right now,
Not right now. If
I was
you're-
gonna say, it's not happening now. I don't have anything up right here.
We
I'll get
we
it
have,
signed.
I think we have until June 1st.
I'll get it signed. It'll be signed. I promise.
Great.
Right. Okay, next agenda item, 3 ABCs.
Yeah, so these are our charitable organization exemptions from motor vehicle and real estate taxation. I will go through each of these one by one. We did only have one new applicant, and they are a religious organization, so it's really a moot point that they filed this application. But just going down from the top, the first is Attleboro Enterprises. They typically do file a 3 ABC for 2 motor vehicles. They did not this year. We looked into it, and one of the vehicles is still garaged in Lakeville and has been billed for. They've been doing this for years, so I would recommend we still approve them. It is within your ability to do so. Questions on that one?
Yes,
Go ahead.
so either you or Harald.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, if they deserve the exemption, they should get it. But do we set precedent? I know certain boards set precedent with things or actions they take. Do we set precedent by awarding an exemption to someone who didn't, or an entity that didn't apply for it? And my concern isn't with them, but my concern is now all of a sudden down the road, someone's coming in and saying, hey, I forgot to apply for this, last year, or I missed the deadline, and now.
If I could, you've actually set that precedence already. Last year, we approved 2 organizations for real estate exemptions that had not submitted their applications.
So we've already taken care of how we have to answer this, what you tell me.
Well, you don't have to follow precedent.
It's too late for them to apply. Can we just ask them to apply? Is it technicality?
The application was due October 1st, I believe.
March 1st.
March 1st, sorry.
But we do reach out to these folks when we don't hear from them. And what happens so often is these are very small entities, very unsophisticated. Often the treasurer's position is responsible for the filing, and those people are volunteers who kind of fade in and fade out of the organization. So if it were a major player, a major happening, I would suggest that we hold their feet to the fire. If it's a known local charitable entity, well, it's up to you at that point.
I don't know, actually, like that.
Again, I think you're gonna have a bigger organization potentially take advantage of that, right? That's why the fact to grant this, I personally have no issue with. I think it makes all the sense in the world, but I don't want to be here a year from now or 2 years from now. And even if we did do it last year, by doing it again, having this conversation, someone's going to come in and say, oh, well, you know what? Go back, look at your minutes. You guys have done this all along. And maybe it's someone who we're talking, tens of thousands or, a significant number where we really, to your point, Harald, can we really hold their feet to the fire if we've already not held someone else's feet to the fire? And does it really make a difference whether it's for an exemption for $500 versus $50,000? I don't think the dollar amount should matter.
I'm not sure that.
I mean, I don't even know if we have anybody at 50,000, but my point is.
I mean, a precedent can be changed by policy and enacting a policy. So some of my boards will hold the line and notify the entity that their classification is going to be revoked unless they submit the requisite form and paperwork within 30 days,
I
60
think
days.
that's the
think
way to
that's
go.
fair.
That's more than reasonable, because then we tried, we offered it to them, and if they don't get it back to us, then.
Yeah.
I agree. So we could, I guess in this case, for this one, we would reach out and I understand her all, it was October, but if
No,
they
it's
missed,
March.
I mean, it was March, it should be, it's almost irrelevant when it was. If we're gonna approve it without getting it anyways, why don't, even if it's gone past the date, say, listen, get it to us. I don't care if it's 6 months later type of a deal, if that's when we're asking, not 6 months from now, but I think that would be personally a better strategy.
Sure.
I agree.
Do you want to enact that as a policy
I'd like to.
moving forward?
It makes sense to me, John.
I think it's nice that we reach out to them to make sure that they're getting the advantage that they should get. Like, we all agree that it should be.
Oh, they have been reached out to.
Well, they got the initial mailing, but I think the purpose of this is that since the deadline has lapsed, we would now be following up with them and giving them a future deadline of say 30 days.
Yeah, the deadline is
we're-
come and gone. You're
And the
not gonna
deadline
get your
is
exemption.
Mandated by us.
Harold, who mandates the deadline?
The deadlines for exemptions are, those are state.
Well, they're state statutes. The March 1st deadline is in state statute, but there's nothing that bars a board from granting an extension on any sort of
So
filing.
what we're saying is, listen, we send out reminders anyways to these people, which we have no obligation to do to begin with. Now, what we're saying is in these types of charitable organizations, if, we find out we're at the point where we're ready to grant exemptions or not, and we haven't received it, we're gonna personally say, listen, you are not gonna get it now. We reminded you didn't send it in 30 days. If
30
you
days.
still don't get it in,
Mhm.
then you're gonna,
Then
You're
they'll
gonna
lose the
lose it.
exemption. Yeah, I think that's
I think
fair.
that's more fair, yeah.
all right, so since it was your idea, Dave, you wanna make a motion?
I make a motion that as we review the charitable exemptions, if it is past the deadline, we would provide them with an opportunity to still receive the exemption as long as they send us the application within 30 days from the notification that they are past due.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, we have a new policy going forward. So we'll let you finish your variant report, sir.
CIL Realty of Massachusetts Incorporated, they're a group home. They have been granted exemption in the past. Any discussion on that? Cooperative Production, another group home. They've been granted an exemption for a parcel and for a motor vehicle. Just
A quick question, I guess in general, in regards to all of these, one question would be, obviously, how do we confirm their charitable status by asking for
their paperwork.
the paperwork
Yeah.
that the IRS is recognizing?
Yeah.
So on all of these,
Yeah, they've submitted documentation to support that there.
so, yeah, I mean, I guess you can go through each one if you'd like, please, but my
Well-
question would be is, if they all have the documentation, the IRS is recognizing them.
Yeah.
And they've all come before us and we've been granted them before, I'm comfortable with.
Just, it
All-
looks like there's just
just
three
the
that didn't
three.
apply.
Can I just, I'll touch on those ones.
Yeah.
So Lakeville Church of Nazarene, they did not apply. We're religiously exempt anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. I can reach out to them if you folks want me to have that paperwork on file, but it really doesn't matter because they're already exempt as a religious organization.
Yeah, we have situations where churches, I think, through some bad advice, have filed a 3ABC exemption form in the past, not recognizing that there's a whole different statute that deals with the exemption of religious organizations and their properties, so long as the property is used for worship purposes or church purposes. So
These are the properties.
So even though they've applied for it, they never really needed to apply for it.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
I'll scoot all the way down to the New England Institute Religious Research. They no longer own the property. It is now in private possession, so they would also fall off.
Okay.
The only other ones I would highlight are the Lions Club of Lakeville, which has that gray highlight through it. They still own the two properties that are highlighted, but they did not put them on their application. So I would just as soon follow up with them to make sure that they want to keep those as part of their exemption.
I would definitely follow up with them.
Okay. The Lions Club is, did not, I believe, did not apply last year, but they have been typically granted the exemption. So I was happy to see that one come in.
If I could comment, the Lions Club falls into that group of property owners that I described a minute ago, a largely volunteer group of people that don't have a lot of, what should I say, experience around things financial, and often the treasurer's position is a revolving seat that and institutional knowledge doesn't get passed along from one person to the next. I think per your policy that you just voted, we ought to go ahead and notify them, giving them another opportunity to file.
The last one is the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy. They're Catholic nuns, so they're also a religious exemption situation. So they are the only new application that we've had. So again, they'd be exempted anyways. But it's on the list. They applied. So. And then the last one, if you go all the way to the very last line of the document, Wildlands Trust kept everything they had applied for in the past and added an additional parcel.
Okay. Any questions? David,
I'm going with it.
John, you got any questions?
Nope.
Okay, motion to grant the exemptions as discussed and follow up with the two applicants. I believe it's Alvar Enterprises and the Lions Club of Lakeville that did not submit or enact or may have left some stuff off their application, and given them 30 days notice with that new policy. I want to make a motion on that.
Oh, I thought that was,
It was
so
so.
Second.
Any further discussion?
it was a long motion.
Oh, no, you did Mr. Lammers earlier. Paragraph and a half. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Do we have any new business to come before this board today?
David, did you want to update them on the Reval certification? I know you've been working with DOR on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's in progress. We have a number of to-do list items to clean up our system. We've begun the review of sales for the town. Some of the to-do list items are on pause right now. For another new business item, we're in the midst of the camera system upgrade, so we're moving to Vision 8. It should be finalized tomorrow. We should be in Vision 8 as of Monday. So once we're back on that, we can get back to the system cleanup pieces that DOR has asked of us, and then we'll chug away. Harold and I are really trying to get it done by September 1st, I believe, is what we are internal.
Yes, that's the goal.
Well, we're holding you to it. How's that sound? That's what we brought John LeBlanc in for. He's the muscle. You don't want to have to deal with him. Any old business? Anything we need to discuss that we missed? No? Okay, it is 4:29. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
You're good at that.
I am good at that.
We have first and a second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.